A good salesman will be able to sell a refrigerator or even ice to an Eskimo. Sales, a skill, a mindset, a rare talent, and indeed something which is quite scarce in a tough economy. Welcome to BISNOMICS, your weekend's most profitable 60 minutes. I'm Tharandu Amarasekara. Today, our focus will be on sales. Well, it's a term that is commonly heard. Some people dread it. Some people absolutely love it. The role of sales in an organization. How do we make sales happen in a tough economy? And to talk about this and other related aspects of sales, we have an expert in sales who is joining us, who is none other than Dr. Dinesh Hamangoda. Dr. Dinesh, absolute pleasure to have you. Welcome to BISNOMICS.
Thank you, Tharandu.
Doctor, now we hear this term sales. Well, before that we hear about marketing and branding, the concepts, the 4 Ps, the 7 Ps, the brand architecture, etc. But end of the day, all of that will be futile if things don't get moving. In other words, if sales don't happen. Is sales the unsung hero of a company?
Well, Tharandu, I have two articulations. One is any marketing activity or any marketing related activity or a brand will not come to the platter without any sales activity. So, if anything has to be somewhat like come to the face, it needs any sort of a sales activity. So, I would not totally agree with your argument, because nowadays sales is fully sung, I would say, because wherever you go, any organization nowadays, because salesmen basically paying our salaries. So wherever
they bring the money,
bring the revenue, now even to the fact like bring the profits as well. Now we have been given profit targets as well.
So sales people are no longer only given sales
no
targets.
longer. So that's why I am not somewhat like in agreement with you. So if you go to an organization, now you can't see salesmen are hidden. So if you go to especially to a well-established organization, you can see on an hourly basis, maybe on a daily basis, sometimes hourly basis, you can see, because KPIs are fully monitored. You can see what is the sale up to now, what is the sales rep in Kurunagal has done up to the which level of the target.
I've heard about these corporate war rooms where inside, like it's like a command center. You can see this district sales,
it's a cockpit,
that district
somewhat like
the management cockpit.
All the dashboards are there. So how can you get yourself somewhat like unsung? So we have daily recognition sessions, daily meetings where all your sales KPIs are monitored, and we have BI tools, all other sales analytics. We can not see your, not even the revenue. We can see how many shops you have gone in, how many SKUs that you have sold. So I would say for the time being, all the salesmen are at this moment fully sung. Because at the end of the month, all
the darlings of the corporate world.
Darlings of the corporation, all the managing directors, all the directors are now behind salespeople. You can't, get yourself hidden. So, in monthly end sales conference, your salespeople are highlighted. In daily ends, you have some appreciation. Mid-month, we have appreciations. So, I would say, any organization, now even up to a bank, now all the bank employees has become salesmen. Now you can even say even a security guy now has to do some sort of a sales part. So wherever you go, salesmen are everywhere. So I would say nowadays those people are fully given visibility. That's my articulation.
Dr. Hamangoda, I can see the passion you have about sales, and I'm pretty sure the next more than 40 minutes or so, myself and the audience will definitely enjoy this discussion.
Thank you.
That's what we love. We love passionate speakers, people who are passionate about what they do, because that's the way forward for the economy.
True.
Now, in a tough economic time, do people still buy? And if so, is it the art of sales that is making things happen? Because people are complaining the salary is not enough, that there is inflation, in fact, hyperinflation situation. We don't have money to buy the basic commodities. How can we buy these various other items, etc.? And especially you're into FMCG, you're into somewhat of pharma-related businesses as the general manager sales at Hemas for FMCG brands. Do people still buy?
I have a particular answer for your particular question. Not people buy, and we sell as well during tough times, because it's a mind game. If you want to be positive in a tough economic situation, I mean, if your mind is fully conditioned for selling, you can do wonders. So basically, in a tough situation, your whole organization has to get into a out of the box mode. You have to analyze where the gaps are. You have to go into where the different avenues are for selling. You have to look for different distribution models. It can be a van selling, it can be a different, out of the box distribution model, and especially get into e-commerce area. E-commerce area, you can find lots of opportunities. First of all, you find the gaps, fill the gaps. Otherwise, then if the full environment is fully saturated, grab the sales from the competitor. If the fully environment is market is saturated, go to the market where the opportunities are. And if you have that, out of the box sort of, I would say lateral thinking, you can easily get lots of opportunities. We have found lots of opportunities in sales, front. So even in a tough time, I have seen a small WhatsApp picture today, a frying pan. Now, because of the pressurized economic condition of cooking oil prices are going up.
Correct.
That frying pan has been divided into two portions. One is for, I would say, egg frying. One is for a curry, heating.
Correct.
So
small innovation.
Small innovation. In sales front, you can find lots of innovation. So I would say we have done it. Any salesman at any tough situation, once the mind is fully tuned, and if you can do lateral thinking, check where the opportunities are, especially go into data. Check where the opportunities are. You must be having your Salesforce automation data, and in sophisticated organization, you have BI tools, AI, lots of data will be available. So look at data and check. If the sale is not happening in Colombo, check whether what has happened to Goal, what has happened to Matali. And check.
And correlate.
Correlate. And check if you are selling in modern trade, what are the opportunities in modern trade, e-commerce platform. There can be so many opportunities. So my advice is to any organization, any tough situation, any tough condition, people would buy, you can sell.
I would hate to be a competitor of yours because the way you said, grab the share from the competitor, I would dread to be a competitor of yours, Dr. Hamangoda. And what you said is right, because we saw even when the pandemic started and when the lockdowns came in, while some companies were thinking now people will not buy, etc. Doctor, the truth is that there were sometimes 20,000 rupee worth lamb chops being sold on some WhatsApp groups. Yeah. So there are people money who are willing to spend. There are people with money who are willing to spend, and they are looking for the right opportunity. We have to match that.
Yes.
Doctor, let's talk about how a smart salesman or salesperson or salesman or saleswoman can approach a tough market like what we are facing now, because we are facing what one would say the perfect storm. From one side, the inflation, then we have the lack of foreign currency. We are also having the issue with people's income kind of not growing at the best possible rate. And there's a lot of economic uncertainty as well. How should a salesperson approach? In other words, my question, let me rephrase this in a different way. It looks like there's a bad rain outside. How do you still go out? Because a simple umbrella doesn't seem to be enough.
I think my previous answer still valid for this question as well. If you condition your particular phrase like problem or an issue and tune your mind that as a challenge, so everywhere you will see smart opportunities. So especially getting into different areas that you will find opportunities. In sales, there are so many opportunities, especially sales can be defined as, I'll explain it if time permits. There are two branches in sales, sell out and sell in. So especially if you touch upon this sell out in the point of purchase, you can do so many wonders. I mean, in terms of displays, in terms of doing consumer promotions, in terms of doing digital promotions. If you're really smart, my simple answer to is, if you tune your mind into a challenge phase, soldier sort of a mood, any tough situation, sales warrior, you don't need to be that smart. Whatever the smartness you have gained up to now is more than enough. That's my simple answer.
And when you say that people are not buying, there's a concern that people are not willing to spend the money that they have. Truth is that they are not convinced enough to spend their money. Am I correct to say so?
No. If you are selling just say dal, there can be some segments who are not selling dal. But you can approach people who have consumed less dal. You can just check people who have not got dal on right time, on right quantity, maybe in right qualities. So you can approach them.
The,
Maybe the total
deprived ones.
Yes, total Sri Lankan dal consumption may have gone down, but if you are passionate, that's the beauty of a salesman. You can search and go and check where the opportunities are, and you can find out those people and sell. Otherwise, if the economy, if the conditions are tougher, I mean, there won't be any subject called selling. Selling means whatever the situation, you should be smart enough, you should be, intelligent enough to go ahead with your previous.
So you are saying salesmen or saleswomen are actually problem solvers?
They should find opportunities, check data, check gaps, especially seeing gaps and filling, and checking opportunities and go behind them. If you get into the opportunity seeking mode, you can see in terms of selling dal so many opportunities. But thing is, especially as Sri Lankans, we have a mindset, if there's a tough condition, as you said, if there's rain outside, you can go, you can play. But there are so many smart ways of selling under rain.
Very interesting thoughts here, Dr. Hamangoda. We are going to come back to you on more details on that. Stay tuned. We will be back after this short break. This is BISNOMICS. Welcome back to BISNOMICS, your weekend's most profitable 60 minutes. I'm Tharindra Amarasekara. The art of sales, that is the focus today in our discussion. And we are having a very special guest joining us, who is none other than Dr. Dinesh Hamangoda. Dr. Hamangoda, now, they say the pandemic has forced a lot of changes in the consumer behavior. Now, I believe sales and consumer behavior go hand in hand. So, from your perspective, you being in the forefront of the FMCG sector, you see these behaviors changing on a daily basis. What are the identifiable key changes in consumer behavior that we see today?
Today, I would say during pandemic time, we have seen a lot of panic buying. People used to buy unnecessarily in big quantities to home stocking. And we have seen...
We were ready for getting ready for 10 years.
Yes, yes. And they have an artificial sort of a psychological panic, which is not favorable for a country like Sri Lanka, because they think if you buy some sort of a food item, that food item may not be available for 10 years. So you tend to buy everything in the shop. So that's one behavior. So lots of food companies can get the leverage.
Doctor, let me ask this. It's like when there is a talk of a possible fuel price change.
Go and whack it.
Go and whack it. Full tank, as if once a tank is over, you will never travel again.
And you will hire a tank and full it up. Second thing is, we have seen some sort of a very significant drastic change. Slightly people moved from modern trade to not to the big grocery chains, but to nearby stores. You can find lots of nearby shops, neighborhood shops were mushroomed.
And they are available on WhatsApp.
They are available on WhatsApp, and they can deliver online as well. They can deliver using their three-wheelers, bicycles as well.
Dr. Amara, I want to share an experience with you. So, I was also very comfortable buying from modern trade. I would go to one of the leading chains while on the way home.
Evidence.
And when the pandemic struck, because a lot of the modern supermarkets, they took a lot of time to get their online delivery, right?
Correct.
You have to order today, and sometimes the website doesn't load, then you have to again order, wait for 2-3 days, sometimes 2 days to get the order. But we saw all these other little shop owners hiring a lorry, going to the road, going to the streets and the different side lanes and saying, look, we are selling chicken. And then when you talk to them, they'll be like, when you buy from them, they'll be like, okay, the next time you want, call me, and not only I'm selling chicken, but hey, if you want to buy ice cream, tell me, I'll get it from a nearby shop. They up the game.
They up the game. And because of this mushroomed nearby shops, if you go to a by route, you can see front room has become a small mini shop. So you can see lots of such. Now people have moved to these nearby shops, even though the supermarkets were open during the last phase of the recent pandemic. People didn't go to the supermarket. Why? Because of the AC environment, they had this COVID fear. So they had to wash hands and go, they had to be in the queue, and the fear was there. So nearby shop had the proper assortment. So smart, this nearby shop salesman or the shop owner or the grocer knew what is the assortment. They had little bit of sugar, little bit of manioc, everything were there.
Correct.
Even in the case of myself, I was very comfortable with this. So supermarket sale drastically dropped, even though it was fully open after the last phase of the pandemic. That was one of the observations that we have seen. And we have seen during the pandemic, when the lockdown starts, immediate, spike in the online. When the pandemic, rush is gone, you can see immediate, dropping off of the e-commerce sale. And we can retain some sale. If the e-commerce sale was 100% during the pandemic, I wouldn't say it's still at 100%. I would say still it's at 35 to 40% still remain. So all the companies are now putting their all efforts to maintain that 30% or up. That's a good sign.
Correct.
In terms of shopper behavior, because we are ready for any sort of a environment. Second thing is, since people purchase more, the consumption, internal consumption also had become more. If you buy more sugar, if you have a feeling like sugar, you have enough sugar, enough jam in the refrigerator, you tend to eat and consume more. Sometimes it will get perish and you don't know. So lots of companies got this advantage as well. And during the pandemic, we have seen when you're in the panic mood, you're not that brand conscious. If you want to buy, you are particular about X brand, never mind, you go for the...
I want to share a personal experience once again. We went for a lockdown for the very first time in March, I believe on a Friday. Then they again opened the country, Colombo district especially, for just a few hours on a Tuesday.
Okay.
And I went to the supermarket myself, and I looked for a smaller supermarket like a mini mart at a petrol station, where it had a lesser queue. And I agree with you. Convenience store, and it was part of a bigger chain, but it was a smaller shop with lesser choice. But I bought brands that day I've never even heard of or considered in my life, but for the convenience.
Correct. Especially consumers, shoppers or buyers, shoppers were very particular about, food categories, especially skewed to babies. So baby food, baby categories were hot sellers. So those are the few, consumer and shopper behaviors we have observed during that time, which is pretty much apparent.
What are the most common misconceptions about sales and the sales profession that people have?
Oh, so many. I need 2 hours for that. So I would
we can get a start today, and I'm definitely interested to get you back on another day, given the enthusiasm you show.
Lovely. So most of the people think, even professionals, selling is a sales rep's jobs. It's not. So I would say, not like previous era, now sales is a full package. Nowadays, selling is not order taking. Selling has different branches. We have 2 major branches. One branch is sell in. Sell in means you go to a retailer or a supermarket or in front of a buyer, and with your PR and negotiation skills, with your analytical skills, put the product in, push. That is called push.
Push strategy.
And second one is, after pushing the products, you can't just hide away. Then you have to make sure once your product are sold, maybe on an online platform, maybe on the shelf, what are the strategies you have to make the product out from the shelf?
Where the customer will come and pull it.
That is called sell out. Okay. So sell in, you have lots of trade marketing activities as well.
Correct.
Along with negotiation skills. You have, buy 10 cases, take one. Sort of a discount, lots of trade discount, loyalty schemes, lots of pushing strategies are there. One part of selling. Second part of selling is once you dump the product, once you display that, how to, get the product out from the shelf. You have, that is called sell out. You have different branches in that. Visual merchandising and displays, one branch. Second is consumer promotions. Third is you have lots of shopper marketing activities. If you go to not even for a modern trade shop, even if you go to a general trade shop, you can see lots of shopper marketing activities. You can see danglers, wobblers, promogers, you can see different
mascots.
Mickey Mouses, you can see different types of, activities, sampling, promogers coming to you and explaining certain things. They'll give you some little bit of food to sample, test and eat. You have, Wheel of Fortune, lots of shopper marketing activities.
Correct.
If you go
Interaction and engagement.
Interaction and engagement. If you go during the Christmas time or the out of the season, you have lots of thematic campaigns. You can see lots of, block stacks, promo items.
Santa Clauses.
So, whole is this particular subject is called shopper marketing. So nowadays this sales is not just going and selling something and come back. You are responsible not only selling, making sure your boss will ask you how much you have sold out, what is the secondary sale. So selling is not that easy, it's a full package, you have to make sure, and collection as well. After selling, in a saying it's said like, selling is not a selling, as long as it's not collected. So collection is also very difficult. So selling is somewhat
I believe that's a bit of a nightmare situation, isn't it?
You have to manage it. You have to manage it because you can sell and come.
Yeah.
If you can't collect it, you are not a salesman.
Correct.
You are just a dumper.
Because accounting, the definition is you don't recognize a sale when the money comes in, you recognize when it's given. But the truth is you can then have millions of sales in the books
without collection,
but nothing in the bank. That doesn't serve the purpose.
So I would say nowadays people have to recognize this is a professional, well in-depth subject with art and science mixed. So you have the artistic side of the sale. Without the artistic side, I would say it's more towards artistic and little bit of, not little bit, some sort of 30 to 40% analytical skills and scientific skills are. But if you are really artistic, if you have real, inborn talent of how to sell, how to do this sales in and sales out, that is called the real, package of selling. It's not like good old days definition of selling. Simple terms, simple definition of selling is make sure, the old definition, making sure your product is available in right quantity, right visibility for a shopper to come and pick. Now the definition is you can't just, display and come back. You have to make sure somehow or other your product is sold out, grab the share and make the, category pie bigger. So that's my
I would say it's very comprehensive definition, Dr. Hamangoda, and we expect nothing less from an expert like you on this topic. Dr. Hamangoda, now we see companies sometimes between the two extremes of selling to different segments. We see sometimes targeting the top of the pyramid, the luxury customers, those who are willing to spend a couple of hundreds of thousands for a nice signing pen. Versus we also have the bottom of the pyramid. Now if you look at some countries like, some continents like Africa, where 70% of the people are living at below $2 for a day. We've seen some FMCG companies selling quarter of a soap or half of a soap. In fact, some of these sachet packets and all that initially came targeting that bottom end of the pyramid. In your experience, what are the different market expectations between the top of the pyramid and the bottom of the pyramid, and how do you balance it off?
Okay, if you get into top of the pyramid, basically I would see consumer shoppers are very much peculiar. So they would enjoy the shopping environment, I would say the shopping ambience. They need convertibility, array of products, that is called assortment. They prefer big packs. They prefer most of the time value added, I would say in my terms, highly engineered product. If you get a shampoo, they would like to have shampoos with keratin, shampoos with conditioners. Lots of engineered elements are embedded in the product. They would like to have with pumps, with praise, like highly engineered products. Right. And they would like to have lots of other value additions as well. If you can give them a value addition, linked to a CSR sort of an angle, that would add really psychological value for them. If you can give them some sort of a green marketing sort of environment skewed, emotional value, they will grab that. And they would enjoy the luxury of, getting into ambience, like you have lots of products are there, lots of high value products are there, and they are most of the time highly loyal to their particular product. But if you find real, psychological value in another product, I would say they are switchable. If you get into the bottom of the pyramid, most of the time they are very particular about the functional value. If you don't give the functional value or try to give a lot of psychological value, you will fail. And they would prefer small pack sizes. They would prefer non-frill. Top of the pyramid, yes, lots of frills they would like to have. Get into the bottom of the pyramid, remove all the frills. If you can even remove the wrapper and give some sort of a value addition, they would prefer that.
Some of the cars in India, when they started first time selling, they only had one mirror. They said, right side give me, left side let anyone knock and go.
So less number of frills in the product, and they would like to have, in some instances, can I pay in installment, not in full term? Can I get the product in different installments? I can pay installment. Can I buy the product in installment? Can I buy the product in different grammages? So those are the elements in terms of shopper that you would make sure in the point of purchase. If you have those, you can grab all the bottom of the pyramid shoppers, but top of the pyramid is the sweet spot for a company. So all the companies.
That's where the profits come from.
It is the sweet spot.
Yeah. I read a recent article, for example, taking an airline for an example, they also have to sell their seats, that 75% of the profit comes
First
from
class, business class.
which is only about 12% of the seats.
So that's why some very smart companies, they have a product regime for the bottom, but they most of the time encourage people, salesmen, to go and sell the high caliber product. Upsell and cross sell as well. So
what is the difference between the two, doctor?
Upsell means if you are selling 1 kg, can you make it a 2 kg? Can you convince him a 2 kg? Cross sell is if you are selling just a bun, if you are in a restaurant, the waiter can convince you for a plate of chips or a fried rice or a soup or a value addition or another alcoholic or non-alcoholic drink, a ginger beer. That I would say a cross sell. So good smart salesman should upsell and cross sell as well. That's what I told you in the very inception. Salesman should be thinking laterally. Look at the opportunities. If you can sell a bucket of paint, you can obviously sell a brush and a sandpaper. See the opportunities. Salespeople should see lots of opportunities. So if you are a smart salesperson, don't forget about your bottom of the pyramid. Because bottom of the pyramid, you can grab new shoppers, give the sampling, get the brand populated.
And it's a good place to catch them young or catch them and then create the journey.
Create the journey. And slowly define your top of the pyramid and make sure whenever possible elevate the shopper to the top of the pyramid where you have the, the sweetest, I would say the, what do you call?
The richest fruit?
The richest fruit or the hot spot or the sweet spot.
Some very insightful thoughts there, Dr. Hamangoda. Are we doing enough as a country to sell the concept of Sri Lankan products? Or if not, what can we do about it? Let's talk about that on the other side of this short break. This is BISNOMICS. Welcome back to BISNOMICS. How good are you at selling maybe your products, maybe your business, maybe even selling yourself, your image as a professional? Well, if you are not that confident, I'm quite sure that what we are discussing today with our special guest, Dr. Dinesh Hamangoda, will indeed be quite insightful to you. Dr. Hamangoda, now we spoke about selling products and services, etc. It was very insightful indeed. Let's talk about the burning issue, the concept of, or rather selling the concept of Sri Lanka. Now, we have got so much to offer, even in tourism, even in industries. We talk about tea, we talk about cinnamon. Yet, are we overlooking the aspect of selling these concepts to the world? Do you think that, in other words, for all these tourism and the exports, etc., that we need a better national sales strategy to sell, not to sell our country in the monetary sense, but to, through sales, to place Sri Lanka in the hearts and minds of people overseas? Do we need a proper national sales strategy?
So before you getting into outskirts, international marketing area, I would like to touch upon this question in terms of selling Sri Lanka in the domestic market. It's a very dangerous area because if you're selling the Sri Lankan identity within the Sri Lankan markets, I would say I'm not an advocate of that. If you want to do really that, selling Sri Lankan for Sri Lankan within Sri Lanka, you'll have to give lots of good functional and psychological value. Why should I buy a Sri Lankan product? What is the value addition? You have to give them some psychological or functional value, or you have to tell them because of this country would prosper, economy would prosper, or 1 rupee from this product will go to this sort of a national activity. Otherwise, merely marketing the Sri Lankanness for Sri Lankan and getting share versus some multinational product, I would say it's a curse, not professional.
And what you are saying is that rather than saying people buy Sri Lankan because you are Sri Lankan, without saying that, give them a real reason.
Real reason. Why should I buy? Yes, for companies just to, make proper distinguishing factor between X product and Y product, yes, you can, highlight the national factor. But what is for the real consumer at the end of the day?
What's the real value they get?
What's the real value? If you are a good company, yes, promoting Sri Lankanness is okay. But make sure you have to offer at least some good psychological value. Paying this extra 1 rupee or buying this truly Sri Lankan product, what is my value? What is the psychological value? If you can't give it, don't merely, sell or market Sri Lankan products for Sri Lanka. When it comes to export level, international marketing, I would say mainly we don't need some sort of a sales strategy. We need a properly articulated marketing strategy, how these Sri Lankan brands or products should be positioned in different international markets. So I would make a clear demarcation before the marketeers come into the forefront and telling us this is the clearly articulated way of go to outskirts and sell. We can't just go here and there and sell Sri Lankan products without a proper marketing strategy. So I would feel, my personal opinion is, few Sri Lankan companies have got the real knack of going into outskirts with good Sri Lankan brands. They have understood. But in terms of a national strategy, I feel it's too early because we don't have a national marketing strategy to go on.
Understood. Doctor, now for any young student who is planning to join the sales trade, what is your advice to them? The do's and don'ts, and also what skills will be helpful to them?
Right, Tarundu. There are so many articulations for this beautiful question, very timely questions, especially if youngsters are watching this program. If you are a youngster, ask yourself why you come into the field of sales. Ask yourself whether you have the right passion. A lot of people would like to become a singer, but once he became a singer, he would understand this is not my field. So don't get into the sales field for the flamboyance part of it. Because sales is a bit of a difficult, if you really get the knack of it, it's really beautiful journey. But if you get into, if you want to become a doctor for the out appearance of becoming a doctor, because becoming a doctor is a hardship. Ask, get some consultations from a professional salesman, whether even though you have the right passion, whether you will like it in between, number 2. And you will have to make sure psychologically, you will have to be ready to go to field. You will have to ask yourself whether you are a good PR person, whether you are a good people's person. Can you lead teams? Because sales is more about, in the initial stage, you will sell yourself. But when you become area sales manager, you have to get the sales done. Are you good with people? Can you tolerate, people? Can you really mingle with people, motivate senior and young people, be with people, stay with dirt and dust? Are you okay for that environment?
Are you willing to roll up your sleeve and get your hands dirty?
Yes. Because sale is not a thing. You can't, manipulate from a air conditioned room. So are you geared for that? Are you okay to go to Jaffna on a sales visit and, check the market and come back? Can you work with salesmen? Can you motivate them? And are you somewhat good at analyzing figures? Because some people are very good in selling and really the out element of the selling. But can you really go through the sales figures and check where are the gaps, where are the opportunities? Are you good at that? Check yourself. And are you geared to take sales as a career? A lot of people getting to sale to become a brand manager. I wouldn't say that's some sort of a good approach, because sales is a very, it will give you a superb career path.
Doctor, don't you think this is a social perception issue? Because
Sri Lankan
perception issue. Because, for example, a lot of the foreign friends whom I have, and when I ask them, they're like, no, when I was in my university days, I used to be on the street selling various products, and I made some contacts and so on. Whereas in Sri Lanka, if a lot of parents might be concerned if their son or daughter is having to do a sales job, and they'll be like, for the simple question, they'll be like, did we teach you so much to become a salesperson? Don't we have this
I'll
perception?
give you a good example, or rather a metaphor. Now, if you get into a medical college, it will give you a lot of science. If you go to the engineering college, they'll teach you science. After that, they'll give you internship, and after probably a 1 year, 8 months time, you will become some sort of a fully fledged doctor. You can go and practice. But there aren't any institutes in Sri Lanka at the moment. They will teach you technical selling, give you an internship, and throw you to the field. There are no such institutes. So at the moment, you will have to go through the hardships. You have to get the artistic part of the selling. At the same time, you have to go through the scientific part of the selling. I would say it's 70% art, 30% science. Mixed package is the sales package. Ask yourself whether you are passionate to go through that, all the hardships. Once you get that, feeling, Now I am in the real, got the real feeling of selling. You are there, but to get there, it will be a very hectic journey. I am telling to the youngsters, selling is the most difficult but most sought after, highly paid profession at the moment in Sri Lanka. Ask many of the CEOs in manufacturing or the marketing companies, finding a good, you can find lots of people coming in for interviews, but finding the good caliber salesperson, even with experience or without experience, is extremely difficult task. You can find an engineer or a brand manager, but finding a good, capable salesman,
someone who can move the mountains,
very difficult. So I am telling the youngsters, join to the sales. It's a very superb area
are
to
we
be.
discouraging? For example, do you see a trend where maybe when they are in school, that the students are kind of discouraged from getting into these sales, even when they are trying to do an event? I'll share a personal experience with you, doctor. So as a school leaver, I used to go for some of these education exhibitions, and then they would recruit me to be in their stall and to promote that particular university. So I was 18, you work for 2 days, and you at that time, I'm talking 2004, 5, probably this helps people to guess my age, but that's all right. 2004, 5 time period, I would have, I would go for and work for a weekend, and you get paid you get some good food, plus that was a big perk, but also you get about 2,000 rupees, and that time 2,000 rupees was a decent amount. And so I would get allocated to one particular university little outlet, and then I work with a foreign representative of the university, and I would get together and do the sales. And in one experience, this foreign university representative, he was very happy with how I was promoting the university, and he said, if you are ever interested in coming to UK, studying and joining an administration, talk to us, my university would like to have you. While the Sri Lankan party who was there was saying, in Sinhalese, I would say this, Apo, ude indhan kadayak dala wage. And I'm like, isn't that the purpose of sales? Is that not the reason that I'm here? So do you see that there's a traditional mindset to kind of discourage and dislike the selling?
Yes. From the very childhood age, especially Sri Lankans, they have few type of, profile jobs, doctor, proctor, engineer, accountant, sort of.
And now IT.
Now IT, maybe 2-3 additions may have been there, but still sales is labeled as a
lower level
doer's job, because people still think sales is a sweaty job. Sales is repping, sales is begging, sales doesn't have any respect.
If a daughter comes home and says, my boyfriend is into sales, apo sales karid.
Sales karid. So ask yourself this question, tell me any organization who can run nowadays without a sales director or a sales team.
Only the closed ones.
Even a boutique.
Yeah, only the closed and dead companies can be there.
So it's a superb profession, and world, Sri Lanka, good or maybe high profile or low level or whatever the profile, all the companies look for good salespeople. So I invite people to join and get into this real, journey. It's a superb journey.
Understood.
So we need to, cut this bad perception from the very, I would say, from the school days.
Nip it in the bud.
Dip it in the bud and give a flavor of this. Sales is not being a sales rep. Sales rep is being sometimes a sales engineer.
Correct.
There are so many fields. So if someone can, organization like Slim Sim, they are, promoting this in the fields of sales in a proper manner.
Yes.
So I think in nowadays, Sri Lanka, now we have gained some equity, some recognition to sales. Lots of, intelligent people from the very beginning started joining to the
field. They see it as a career.
They see it as a career.
That's a good start, doctor.
Yes.
Doctor, on a final note, for a brand to remain in the hearts and minds of the people, which I believe leads to repeated sales afterwards, what would your insight and advice be to a business owner?
To a business owner, I am not willing to give you some sort of a marketing lecture. I am going to tell you little bit of common sense.
Sure.
For an entrepreneurial type of a business owner.
Absolutely.
Not a brand manager, not a marketing
That's
director.
what we need.
First thing is, ask yourself whether you are truly giving good value to the consumer. Especially, are you really good at functional value? Don't try to, give lots of emotional value and mess around with the consumer. And ask yourself whether you are, over the period of time, deteriorating that value. If you are selling some sort of a lunch packet, are you removing some elements and giving the same lunch packet, telling the same lunch packet, you have removed some, good quality elements. Make sure your product quality remains same. And if you're given, because brand is a promise. Brand is something that you're putting into the consumer's mind. Make sure that promise is not broken till the end. If the promise is broken, you will have to properly communicate that. So my simple advice is, don't remove your benefits from the equation and be truthful. Be really truthful to the consumer. There can be QA issues. Make sure your product goes to the consumer with right good quality. And if your product is giving lot of good value, functional and emotional, I am telling you, in the initial phase, you may need little bit of marketing, but you can remove your additional expenditure that you are spending for marketing. Virtually, you can remove the marketing budget and give that benefit to the consumer, because if the product is really giving value, it will go mouth to mouth, and your product quality will get spread among many consumers. Correct. And without any marketing, people will come and grab your product.
Word of mouth is the best marketing.
Word of mouth is the best. And I can't tell good Sri Lankan examples in this forum. I know good products. They virtually do zero marketing, but there's a high demand even in supermarket for that particular product.
Dr. Dinesh Hamangoda, it was an absolute pleasure having you here on Biznomics, and you shared a lot of thoughts, a lot of insights, very passionately. We love a passionate guest. Wishing you good luck with all the good endeavors you are doing, and thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you, Tarindu, for inviting me. Thank you.
Well, you heard it from the expert. Sales is not just a sales rep's job. Sales is not just about pushing away the product. It's a very holistic approach. Without sales, no company can operate or survive or thrive in today's day and age. And we hope that the insightful ideas shared by our special guest, Dr. Dinesh Hamangoda, will help you in the coming week to make more sales and make your business thrive among this uncertain and tough economy. With that, we wrap up today's episode of Biznomics. No matter what business you may be in, sell well and have a profitable week ahead. I'll see you with the next episode.